Good afternoon. I'm Julie Decker, President and CEO of the FSU Alumni Association, and I'm so delighted to welcome you to what is our 11th episode of our Webinar Wednesday series. As you'll know, this series has allowed us to bring alumni to you wherever you are and provide you with special insights into topics relative to the day. Thank you to our members who are joining us today. Your commitment to this university and to our Alumni Association is so appreciated. I would also like to thank our corporate partners for their generous support that makes programs like this possible. And if you'd like to learn more about our partners, please visit our website. Today, I have the great pleasure of introducing our proud FSU alumnus, Billy Francis. Tallahassee native and Florida State alumnus, William Billy Francis earned his commission as an officer in the United States Air Force through the FSU ROTC program. During his 26 years of military service, Billy logged more than 2,800 flight hours as a command pilot on a variety of aircraft, including the F-16 Fighting Falcon. Billy rose to the rank of colonel and served with distinction at a number of U.S. military installations. He was a key Air Force leader in Italy and the Balkans, and for his consistent demonstrations of professionalism and courage, Colonel Francis was decorated 5 times, including 3 Meritorious Service Medals and the Legion of Merit. From 2007 to 2009, Billy served as commander of the 6th Mission Support Group at MacDill Air Force Base in Tampa. With more than 2,200 people under his command, the 7 squadrons he led supported U.S. Special Operations Command, U.S. Central Command, and 50 other military units. After serving at MacDill, Colonel Francis returned to Florida State as commander of its Air Force ROTC unit, culminating his military service in the very place where it began. After retiring from the Air Force, Billy was appointed director of the Florida State University Student Veterans Center, where he heads up the Veteran Alliance. Supporting student veterans as they transition into FSU, earning their degrees and securing rewarding careers are the goals of the Veteran Alliance. Billy earned his bachelor's degree from Florida State and an MBA from Eastern New Mexico State University. Billy and his wife, Lisa, have 3 children, Rowdy, Evan, and Emma, and 1 grandson, Finn, who is Rowdy and daughter-in-law Rachel's son. Today, Billy will share information about the students and the Student Veterans Center and the students they serve, how veterans were instrumental to FSU's founding, notable veteran alumni, and the positive qualities that veterans bring to their future employers. Billy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks, Julie. I appreciate it. And I want to say hello to everyone that's out there, many friends that I can't see right now, but I'm looking forward to a time when we can see each other again face to face. Very thankful for you and for the Florida State community and all that FSU and the community has done for student veterans, active duty guard, reserve, and dependents since we've been at this in 2011. So let's just take a minute as we get ready to spend a few minutes together talking about veterans in college and Florida State, and think about 1947, and Florida State University was in the Florida State College for Women. And World War II ends, and the nation decides to create the GI Bill. So in other words, for veterans that wanted to go to college, the nation would pay for that college if they so chose to follow that path following their service during World War II. And so Florida State's a women's college at the time, so none of the GIs come back to FSU. They're all over at the University of Florida. And this is a story, so I've not seen this in writing and footnoted, but the story goes that they didn't have anywhere really on campus to house all of the GIs at University of Florida. And so they were out in a housing facility of some sort. I've heard it said that it was a barn. I can't verify that, near Gainesville. And an individual walked into the building and got their attention and made an announcement and said, hey, we're thinking about sending a group of you over to the Florida State College for Women over in Tallahassee. Who would like to go? And the rumor is there was a stampede. And so the Tallahassee branch of the University of Florida, T-Buff, was started in 1947. And so you had the first co-eds, the first men at the Florida State College for Women attending college in Tallahassee. And that went on for about a year, and the legislature of Florida said, you know what, it's time to make the Florida State College for Women co-ed forever, and we will call it now the Florida State University. So veterans are at the very beginning of Florida State University and who we are. And so if you think about that time, in 1947, if you were a guy on campus, and really anybody that had lived through World War II, I think, everybody knew what World War II was. And so you're walking around campus. If you see another guy, you know that he served, and you have a common bond, a common experience. Everybody knew that. Everybody knew about World War II and what was going on at that time. And so if you take and fast forward to 2020, and you think about all of the conflicts that we've had since then, now, and in that interim time, when veterans came to college on any campus, but let's just think about FSU, you come to college now, and you're walking around, and you are older, and you have a very unique experience. Some of those experiences include combat. And you are looking around and trying to figure out where you fit in and who might be able to share your take on this college experience based upon the filter that you've had with the experiences that you've gone through. And it's tough to tell, you know, you're looking for a backpack that's camouflaged. Are you looking for a hat? Are you looking for someone who's wearing, you know, an insignia of some sort? You're trying to find your place. And so that's what the veterans now and in that interim period were facing as they started to come back to college. And one of the unique things about this demographic, I think there's 5 things that's very special about this demographic. And one is that they're older. The average age of our veteran at Florida State right now is 32 years old, I'm sorry. 32 years old. And so you're older than your 18 to 22-year-olds that are in college. And you're also have had a very, very different experience. You know, you might do 4 years and you come to college as a 22-year-old, but that 4 years and the experience that you got serving the nation, boy, that's a lifetime in some cases. And so just a very different experience level. And you can become isolated, and you can choose to say, hey, nobody can understand me. They don't know what I've been through. If that's the way you choose to go forward. That is one of the things that the Veterans Center exists to try and combat, if you will. So you're isolated. You're fighting that sense of isolation. You also may have a lack of academic confidence. It may have been a while since you've been in school. Formal schooling of that sort. You've probably never been at a tier 1 research university like Florida State University. And so you're wondering how that's going to go. You're on, you know, traveling new ground. And so maybe a little bit of anxiety along those lines. And then the third thing is your achievement horizon is much different than it was in the military. You know, all of you that are out there that were in the military know that very often we could measure what we'd done, either how far we'd walked or swum or flown or traveled in a vehicle of some sort that day. What we had done, we could measure it and we could see it. And if it wasn't in a 1-day period, it might be in a week or 2 days or that sort of thing. But there were achievements, and you were finishing things very often each day over and over and over again. Well, in college, now I'm going to take a class and I might not take a test until the end of the semester. And then that test, the results of that test may be very subjective, not hard metrics like they were when I was in the military. And so now I'm wrestling with that a little bit. And I'm going to go to school, and maybe this is going to take me 2 years, 4 years. Might take me 6 or 8, depending upon what my final goals are. But much, much different in terms of achievement and hard accomplishments than I probably experienced when I was in the military. The fourth thing is the bureaucracies that this student group faces. It's not just the college bureaucracy that they're facing, oftentimes for the first time, but they may have the GI Bill benefit bureaucracy. And then in some cases, they've got the VA medical bureaucracy. So if you think about those bureaucracies, you've got three pretty big ones. And a lot of times when people are faced with a bunch of different choices, what you decide to do is just kind of back away, and you don't make any of those decisions right now. And so that can add to this sense of isolation and the lack of academic confidence, increasing my level of anxiety. And then last is, I think, the post-service sense of purpose. You know, what is my post-service sense of purpose? When I was in the military, I had an identity, you know, and it was not just an identity of my uniform with my name on it and the service I was in, and probably my MOS or my RAID or my AFSC on my collar, but I also was part of a unit that had an insignia, kind of like our Veterans Alliance Arrowhead that you see there. And I had a broader identity as a member of one of the military forces of the United States of America. So I had a very real and firm sense of identity and a sense of purpose. And so now I'm out. And I may not have realized when I was in just how important that was, but now I don't have it. And that's one of the things I think that college provides that's really good in that transition for military members, is that there is a very real way to feel a sense of community and identity, and that, you know, we're the Seminoles. And we have a Veterans Alliance at Florida State, and we have a unit insignia, if you will, the Veterans Alliance Arrowhead, and a community where we have like experiences and places that students with these experiences can go to find fellowship, friendship, and then light on a path to figure out which way I want to go. And so those are the 5 things that I think are unique to this student group. And in 2011, recognizing those things, we had 2 students at Florida State University that were student veterans, Jared Line and Raul Perez, and they both went to President Barron and said, hey, student veterans at FSU, we're up against some unique challenges. What we'd like to do is start a Veterans Center, hire a Veterans Center director, and we would like to try and be the best in the United States of America at supporting student veterans into college, during college, and out of college. And so President Barron said, let's do it, formed a committee. I got a chance to be the director of the Veterans Center on 11/11/11. That's November 11th, Veterans Day, 2011. We cut the ribbon on temporary space at the Pearl Tyner Center, which is right there at Alumni. And so, you know, I'm going to try and give shout outs to a lot of people today, but let me just do that for Alumni right now. They've been incredible. You know, just today they're hosting this webinar, but they were the home of the first Veterans Center at Florida State University, also in the Pearl Tyner Center, right there at the Florida State Alumni Center off of Tennessee Street. So thanks to all of my friends at Alumni, that was our first space, and we'll always hold a very near and dear spot in our hearts. And so we started there 11/11/11 in October of 14. We moved again into what I'm calling temporary space in University Center A. And what this space is it's a space, it's a one-stop shop for Veterans Guard, active duty reserve, and dependents in transitioning into college, while they're in college, and then transitioning out of college. And so if our veterans in those student groups, our dependents, our active duty, our guard, our reservists, will start with questions that they have at the Veterans Center, very often we can answer those questions right away. And if we can't answer those questions, what we can do is get them linked up to someone, typically with a phone call or one email, that can answer their question. And so they're getting their questions answered very quickly and efficiently. And, you know, not fighting, but shining a light on those bureaucracies for them as they go through that, creating a sense of community so they don't feel isolated, getting them connected with the resources on campus, academic resources on campus. So if they do have problems academically, they are having someone face-to-face, personally walking through those challenges with them, and then working with them on that post-service sense of purpose. Hey, what is it you're excited about, and what are we going to do to help folks as we go forward while we're here at FSU, but then afterwards too? And so in and through all that, You've got a place now that's in the University Center. It's that one-stop shop that we talked about. You have a staff. You have 6 full-time that I'm the leader of there that lives and works inside that space. You've got 2 interns, a communications intern and an events intern that are named after veterans in the College of Communication and one in the College of Hospitality. You've got 1 OPS part-time, Kathleen Helm, who worked at Alumni for a long, long time, is there with us, and she runs our events and our alumni operations. We're very thankful for Kathleen, but I've got a great team: Cheryl Goodson, Melissa Ludlam, Ashley Pritchard, Becky Culp, and Reinhardt Lurch, all work hand in hand together to basically graduate our student veterans and get them into careers or graduate school within 6 months on graduation. And they've been with us this whole time. We've only had 1 person turnover on the staff in 9 years now. And so I'm very thankful to each and every one of them and for the commitment that they've shown to making Florida State a national beacon of veteran support and success. The other group we've got working with us there is, and that'll depend upon, like right now we have 2 VA work study students that are veterans that are basically helping with GI Bill benefits, and they're the first person that anybody sees when they come to the Veterans Center, welcoming all the folks that come our way. And we'll have up to 7 of those when we're running full-time, full up in normal operations. So 3 to 7 of those. So you've got anywhere from 14, to 11 people getting up every day to walk through this college experience with this student group towards their goals. Now, broader, you've got campus partners. We talked some about alumni. You've got 3 ROTC units. You've got a Navy Marine Corps ROTC unit at FAMU. You've got an Air Force and Army ROTC units at Florida State. I meet with their commanders every month. Just met with them yesterday. And we are working together to help them achieve their goals as a part of the Veterans Alliance at Florida State University. And when I say Veterans Alliance at Florida State University, I mean everything and every person at Florida State, student, faculty, staff, and then in the Tallahassee community and even nationally, when you think about the VA and you think about National Student Veterans of America, that are committed to veteran success. And the way we define that at Florida State University is what's our veteran graduation rate, and then what is our veteran placement rate, either into career or graduate school within 6 months of graduation. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and tell you what those numbers are right now. I'd kind of thought to save that till the end, but because I brought it up, I'll tell you we are at an 86% graduation rate. That's higher than the non-student veteran graduation rate at Florida State University, and our placement rate right now into graduate school or careers within 6 months is 72%. That number is harder to get because they have to respond to our questions once they graduate for us to get a good feel for what that number is. So I think that number is probably a little higher than that, but I can confidently say it's at least 72% right now. Now the goal is 100% on both sides. And that's part of, many of you have been involved in that I'm talking to right now. I'm thankful to you for that, but I'm also excited about continuing that as we go into the future. Other people, the non-student veterans that are students at Florida State, if they're not supportive of student veterans at Florida State, we can have tons of programs and tons of activities, and it wouldn't matter. We would not be veteran friendly and empowering. So the students, the non-veteran students at Florida State have been incredible. I was on yesterday Zooming with the student body president at Florida State, who for the first time is an ROTC cadet, Jonathan Levin. We've had great relationships with all the student body presidents, and it was the student government at Florida State, non-student veterans, that created the nation's first veteran student union inside student government in 2012. So we have a very, very supportive non-veteran student body that we're dependent upon and very thankful for. Faculty and staff, we have the Veterans Friends and Family Group. So if you're a veteran or just want to be a friend of veterans for the faculty and staff, we have a couple of events every year. They're invited to all of our First Fridays. We'll talk a little bit more about that. We have over 40 liaisons across campus. These are people working in the different departments and colleges on campus that have just said, hey, if you have a veteran that's got a question or needs help in my area, here's my email, here's my phone number. You have them write veteran as the first word in the subject line of an email, or give me a call, and I'm going to work with them to get their question answered and get them an answer to that question so that they can move forward. And you can find a lot of this stuff on our website at veterans.fsu.edu. If you haven't been there, I'd encourage you to go and look around at all of the resources and the ways that we support veterans. I think it will add to this short time we're going to spend here today to give you a better understanding of what Florida State University is doing in and around veterans, Guard, active duty dependent, and reservists. I want to, we do have a Veterans Alumni Society that you can join if you're a veteran alum. And if you see this coin here, I'm trying to point to it. I'm pointing the wrong way. It's over that way. It's right behind me. If you are a veteran, alumni of Florida State University will send you one of these coins if you don't have one. And so just send me an email at wfrancis.fsu.edu. We'll verify your graduation and your service, and then we'll get you a coin in the mail. And if you want to be a part of our mailing list, we'll get you on that list so that you'll know what's going on and get invitations to the things that we'd love to have you at into the future. I need to also talk a little bit about emeritus. I know there's some emeritus folks out there now. Incredible support. The Emeritus Society at Florida State University has basically raised close to $100,000 over the past 9 years that they provide scholarship or an academic award 3 times a year to the undergraduate and graduate student veterans with the highest GPA. And they're giving them $1,000, each one of them $1,000. So that's $6,000 a year they're given to these students who are doing very well in school. They were the first group to come and reach out to us at FSU, and I am very thankful to them. And so if you're part of Emeritus out there right now, Billy thanks you very, very much. And I look forward to seeing you again here soon. We have an advisory council. And these are people that are big supporters of Florida State, not just in spirit, but also financially. You can see the list of the folks on our advisory council off of our website on the About Us page. I'd invite you to get to know them. Some of you probably already know them. And if there are members of the advisory council out there, I want to say hello and thank you to all you've done too, to get us to where we are today in our efforts to be that national beacon of veteran support and success. In the community, once a month, we meet with all the veteran service organizations at the Hooch. Reinhardt, my communications director, has lunch with them, and we coordinate best we can on all activities in the Tallahassee area surrounding veterans and their support. But it also helps us create that web of resources that we can link our students into should they need it. We've got several colleges on campus that are doing things specifically for veterans. You've got the College of Law with the Veterans Legal Clinic. You have the College of Business and the Jim Moran Institute with their Entrepreneurial Boot Camp for Veterans program. College of Nursing offering a veterans degree in a sense, so they give them credit for their military training on the medical side towards getting that nursing degree. Several businesses in town, the Chamber of Commerce supports us with their Access Tallahassee program. We provide 10 memberships to students for Access Tallahassee, which is a program that the Tallahassee Chamber of Commerce runs to help build networks. We've got Mission Barbecue is out there. If you go to Mission or you've been to Mission, you see our Alliance Arrowhead all over the place there. They come and provide free food several times a year to our groups and to our students. We're very thankful to them. And of course, Garnet and Gold. Guy Moore and Garnet and Gold, if you didn't know, they've created a whole line of apparel and basically merchandise with the Veterans Alliance Arrowhead on it. And it's an exclusive retail arrangement, can't be sold by anybody else. And Guy gives us 70% of the net proceeds for everything that he sells off of his website or out of the store. So big shout outs to those folks in the community. And then I talked about the national piece. You've got the Department of Education, you have the Veterans Affairs, and then National Student Veterans of America that we're all working with to help get the word out, to help support our veterans as they transition from the military into college. As they walk through college, we want to retain them, and then we want to transition them again into those careers of graduate school. The Career Center's been huge on that. One of our biggest supporters and partners throughout all of this, because it's so important that after you graduate, you get into that career. And they've got a new software system now called the Simplicity, and the veterans are the only group that can have a special folder where any employer can register in Simplicity and search for veterans at Florida State University. And so that's something I would encourage you to think about too, and tell your friends and family about, that if they want to hire veterans with a college degree from Florida State University, they can find them on Simplicity and reach out and talk to them directly. And if you have questions on that, let me know, because that's a big part of the so what of what's behind this Arrowhead that we're trying to do at Florida State. So I've talked coming up for on 20 minutes right now. If you think about this just holistically, you've got veterans, dependents, Guard, active duty, and reservists that are transitioning from the military into college. So all of our programming and all of our events are aimed at easing that transition, retaining them while they're here at Florida State, and then transitioning them into their post-graduation success, whether that's graduate school or careers. We'll do over 30 events a year to initiate, cultivate, and sustain relationships that result in that graduation and that post-graduation success. And then all of our programming that we do, all of the fundraising that we do, all of the support that you all give us goes into programs and events that do just that. They initiate those relationships, they cultivate them, they sustain them, and those relationships graduate our students at an 86% rate, and then get them into careers or graduate school within 6 months. And so that's what's behind that Arrowhead. And that Veterans Alliance Arrowhead stands for everything we've been talking about at Florida State University. And one of the coolest events that the president does is he does the President's Cord and Coin reception. We do that 3 times a year. We had to do it virtually this past semester, and we'll do it again virtually in the summer, and I think in the fall. But that's where I get to personally give one of these exclusive challenge coins to our veteran and ROTC graduates. And then the president gives them that red, white, and blue honor cord that you see behind me. And if you look real close at that coin behind you right there, you can see the honor cord wrapped around the Alliance Arrowhead on that coin. And so we're the only school in the country that I know of that the president invites this special group of graduates to he and Jean's house. And they recognize them in a very special and intimate ceremony that I'm very thankful for. And so I will now talk just real quick about how you can help us. 1947, we have a 1947 program. And so if you want to give $19.47 a month, and remember we talked about 1947 being a very important year regarding Florida State University and veterans. What that does is it supports all of the programming and efforts to graduate our students and get them into careers in graduate school. The other thing you can look at is you can tell others about the Veterans Alliance Arrowhead. You can tell them about the Garnet and Gold merchandise. You can pick that up. 70% of that's going to come back to us at Florida State to do the things that we've been talking about. Take a look at our website, because the vision is to build a very unique facility called the Veterans Legacy Complex, where we're going to have a new RTC building, a student veterans center, and a research institute for war and the human experience, all in one place on campus. A grand vision. We're looking for a lead donor, somebody that would like to join us in this vision to be this national beacon of veteran support and success. I think it would entrench Florida State forever as the Harvard or Johns Hopkins of the veteran support arena. But if you have questions on that, you can look at the donate button and you can see pictures and a video about the Veterans Legacy Complex. That's where we're going. And so any way that you can help us there, I sure would appreciate it. And I would love to talk to you about it. But with that, let me answer some questions, and I'll give it back to Julie.
Yes, thank you so much, Billy. That was fantastic. I really, really appreciate always hearing from you. So one of the questions, we have our attendees who register early get to submit some questions. And one of the questions that we had were, what are some suggestions that you have for student veterans who are looking to get more involved with the campus community outside of veterans groups?
Okay, yeah, great, Julie, thanks. So at Florida State, there are over 700 student organizations on campus. They call them RSOs, or registered student organizations. A few of those are veteran related, but over 700 of them are not.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would encourage them to take a look at that list that they can find through the Dean of Students Office and Student Government of student organizations, and see if there are any of those that they're interested in. They can get involved in student government like we talked about. They can get involved with student alumni.
Yes.
They can get involved with student boosters. The Career Center has great involvement opportunities for our students through internships and professional mentors. They can reach out to Seminole clubs, and I'm working with you guys to start to kind of work on those potential networking opportunities. They've also got the Access Tallahassee, like we talked about, with the local community there, and they can become a part of that. And then the other thing that's kind of unique at Florida State is the fraternities at FSU. There's a number of them that waive the dues for veterans.
Oh, very nice. Yeah.
And and so if you're a veteran at several fraternities at Florida State University, you don't have to pay dues. Wow. And, that's another network that they can become a part of. And then we have worked with sororities, and we'll continue to work with them to see what's in the realm of the possible there. And then, of course, you have your professional fraternities and organizations, like Phi Sigma and things like that. And so what I would say, though, too, is start at the Veterans Center, right?
Right.
That's that one-stop shop. Start at the Veterans Center. Tell us what you're interested in, and then we'll be able to shine the light on a path for you that you can walk down, and we will walk with you down that path and work to get your questions answered and get you linked up where you want to be linked.
I do love the synergy that we have with our alumni office, and perhaps it's because that's where you started. But I think we do have a great team, if I do say so. And I do love the partnership that hopefully we're one of the first places you think to land when students are looking to get involved and get connected. What do you, and this was another question that was submitted, what do you think student veterans need from non-veteran students? So those students that are veterans, from their peers, what do they need from their peers that are not veterans?
I would say let's start with a smile and a greeting, right? Hi, go Knowles.
Right.
And then from there, it's time, and it's listening, and it's understanding. But it's just like you would do with anyone. I think that's one of the really amazing things that's been really awesome that I wasn't necessarily expecting in this job, was the perspective that people that aren't veterans will give after working with the veterans or getting to know them, and say, man, Billy, you don't act like a veteran, or the people that they meet. This is not what I had, my stereotype necessarily of a veteran. It was not that at all. And we are a civilian force. We are all volunteers. After Vietnam, no one has been drafted. And so everybody has volunteered, and we've all come from all over the country, just like the other students have come from. And they oftentimes will go, man, I never really, I thought you'd be, quiet and all reserved. And so, in other words, get to know them, just like you would anybody else. And then that means listening. And that means not that you can say, hey, well, I understand what you've been through, but you can say, man, that's tough. If you ever need anything, let me know. Right. And I'll do what I can for you. And so a friendship, at the end, that's what this is all about. And I'll tell students all the time, I'll say, if all you do in college is go to class, you might as well have gone anywhere. You walk in a building, you sit down and you listen to a teacher, pretty much that's going to be the same experience wherever you go, in a sense. And what makes, in my opinion, your experience at Florida State, so much better is what goes on outside of the classroom and who you walk through this time with, who you surround yourself with, how many people do you get to know and share this life experience with, and then talk about things that come up in your classes. And as you walk through and grow through this time and talk about your future, that to me is going to be what's so special. I mean, if all the people that are out there now think back about their time at Florida State, they're probably not, it's pretty, and it's prettier now than it's ever been. Mm-hmm. But the things that really make it special are the people that we were in school with and that we are at FSU with now. And so getting to know each other is, and making an effort to do that is what I would tell the non-veteran students to just do that.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. One final question for you. You sort of alluded to it in your answer when you look back on your experience. So share with us, what is your favorite FSU memory?
Oh, wow. Let's see. My favorite FSU memory, it's not just one necessarily, but every time that fight song plays, mm-hmm. You know, if they played it right now, yeah, I'd get chills. And my mom went to Florida State. I wound up at FSU, you know, I was a walk-on tackling dummy for the football team. All my brothers and sisters went to Florida State, and I just had a daughter become a third generation Knoll. I call her a 3G Knoll. She's our first 3G Knoll in my family. But I think it's that fight song and it's the people, right? That I know that have impacted me in my life, that I think about when I hear that fight song. And so that would be, you know, the memory that I would think most about at Florida State.
Very good. Well, Billy, as a daughter of a Navy veteran and a father who did 3 tours in Vietnam, I'm so thankful for your service and the service of our veterans who choose to come here and continue their education at Florida State. So thank you so much for being with us today and for sharing your expertise. And for those of you joining us, be sure to check out future webinars. We're going to move to a bi-weekly webinar series beginning next month. So continue to stay with us. Fill out the survey that you're going to receive after this webinar. We'd love to hear your feedback and share your ideas with us of who you'd like to hear from. We have some great topics lined up as we get into the fall. We look forward to connecting with you. And as always, go Noles.